Hey y'all, and welcome to Geek Freaks. I am Frank, and I'm with Jonathan.
Hey y'all.
Today we're talking Picard, Season 1, Episode 8, Broken Pieces. Jonathan, overall, what'd you think of this episode?
This was a fantastic episode.
Okay, big fan.
I've liked them all so far, but this one, kept me satisfied. Very action-packed and full of good information. A lot of
it was explainer for
questions.
Sure.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I don't think there's any more mystery left after this episode.
Yeah.
I think they kind of answered everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's go ahead and dig into this. Of course, we had a flashback in the opener. Mm-hmm. We're in a planet called AIA. I don't know if that's what it's called. The Grief World. It's 18 years in the past. We see that there's a Shatvash meeting happening. Mm-hmm. Commander O is there. She's a member. So now we know that she's even shadier than we expected. Mm-hmm. Narissa is also there. And the XB that we've been seeing. Did you notice that? That's the XB we've seen in the past.
Her name is Dr. Ramada.
Ramada, yeah.
I wrote it down there.
And that's her aunt.
Yeah, she's Narissa's aunt. That was
so Narok must have known that when Narok's sitting there, like, you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of weird.
Yeah, Narek. Yeah.
Narek. I said Narok. Yeah, I'm sorry. They do some sort of ritual that reveals visions of a like synth Armageddon. Mm-hmm. Okay. There's some sort of thing that they're holding on to, and we learn later on that that's sort of a warning device there.
Yeah, the whole planet, right? So
the whole
yeah. They later explained
the stars around it too.
That species brought 8 stars together to make a really rare formation, and that planet is the beacon to warn everybody not to ever do what they did.
Yeah. And then when we see them kind of all these people that are there reach for this thing and gain that new vision, basically everybody's killing themselves. That was Ramada's like freaking out. You know,
that was a cool scene. Even Commodore O was explaining to them, when you see this, most of you will go insane, but if you don't, then you will gain the wisdom of, what's to come or something like that. Yeah. So that was cool. We saw some of them killing themselves, unfortunately.
Yeah. And then Narissa, she kept her cool for the most part, and then she kind of snapped her aunt out of it too. And then we go into the current day. The aunt Ramada is unconscious, and she's an XB at this point. And Narissa's telling her, like, the plans are still going as expected. So now we know that Ramada, Narissa, Narek, there you go, are all kind of what the plan is. Mm-hmm. We learned that the Romulans, now we're at current day again. We learned that the Romulans found Elnor, and they're ready to attack him. While fighting, Elnor is saved by 7 of 9, which is pretty cool.
Before we dig into that too much, I do want to mention that because we're done with
the like
Ramada and the rest of them. Yeah. So they explained somewhere, or they mentioned or hinted at that the reason that Borg cube is stranded where it is was because of Ramada. Yeah.
Really?
She was assimilated after having that vision. Her mental chaos that caused in her corrupted the collective and it made them detached. They said, "Oh crap, we can't let that spread." Separated that cube. I watched another video afterwards that explained this. That's why that's what it was. That cut off that cube and then it was left to die on its own.
What video? What was the name of the video that you saw?
Oh, God,
so we can give credit to there.
I do watch Trek Yard.
Trek Yard is what it's called.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think it was theirs. I think it was a different one that was explaining that specifically in detail.
Okay.
But yeah, it was pretty.
That's a cool idea. I like that.
But I mean, it hinted at it, or it kind of touched on it in the show, but they didn't dive into it. So.
There's a lot of little things. Like later on, we see Rios has like his. You can actually see what rank he is by the badges that are sitting in that box, and he opens it up. It's like, that's so neat.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Sorry, keep going.
No, that's perfect. we need that. Okay, so so the Elnors are fighting. Elnor is fighting the Romulans, and 7 comes in and saves him because he pressed the Fenris bed.
When he first hit the badge on the previous episode, I didn't realize that's what it was.
We talked about that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed he had it, and then it just dawned on me that's the beacon to summon her. So that was cool.
And then Narissa finds, they run away, and Narissa finds the Fenris Ranger's beacon and knows this must be 7, So that's pretty cool. I love how 7's like legend spans that far. It's pretty cool. Narissa starts ordering everybody to start killing all these Borg and XBs and stuff like that. She knows what can happen. And then 7 and Elnor, they return to the Queen's chambers. 7 she activates the cube. So let's go with that. She activates the cube and it starts repairing itself.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy to see what modern day, CG looks like.
Oh yeah, it looks so much better. Yeah. The ship, because we see those rooms every once in a while. What's all those little square tiles and they move on their own and stuff like that. The whole ship starts to do that. It starts moving tiles to patch the broken parts, and it's all nano probes, so it can like Tony Stark tech. It can build something and then use that as a bridge to fix another thing, and it's pretty smart.
Yeah. And then and then she sees that there are thousands of Borgs in stasis. Basically, the whole army sitting there.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, would you activate them in her shoes?
In her shoes being, well, so we talked about this in the previous episode too, is that she has to still be, at least to some extent, in a sensitive state of mind, being on a Borg cube, having been an ex-Borg, and having such a traumatic experience and assimilated as a child and all this stuff. So to her, connecting to the Borg is like a former alcoholic just having a drink because it's my brother's wedding or something like that. Like trying to use it for good, but it could kill her or turn her into a monster that kills everybody. Yeah. So she's got to be super afraid. But at the same time, if she doesn't stop the Romulans, then they're going to kill everybody themselves or, have that control. So
she's afraid. And then she's saying, like, also, if she reassimilates them, they might not want to be, they're not going to want to be left alone either.
They're going to be addicted to being slaves, just like she'll be addicted to being a slave master.
The key with it, if you guys aren't familiar with Star Trek, the key with it is the Borgs all share one mind. And that sensation it's like so comforting, basically.
Yeah. Without it, they feel lost and alone. Like
exactly. The Hugh, that's why Hugh went emotional.
Yeah.
In the original. So Seven and Eleanor notice that the Romulans start to kill the thousands of Borgs as well. So Seven knows that she has to hook up. So she hooks up to the cube. And then she says, "We are Borg," and her eyes, eyes
turn black.
I was like, no. I'm like excited and worried at the same time. It's crazy.
So myself, I kind of wish that they timed this episode a little bit differently, so that would be the end of the episode. So we'd be left with that cliffhanger of her having control of the cube and let it linger on until the next episode.
But I think we might have, I think I would have ended off being upset though, because I was like, you can't do that to Seven, but.
That's a suspense.
It would have been a very good cliffhanger. You're right.
That would have been cool.
This story is too much of a side story in this episode.
Yeah, I wish it was. I wish everything with Seven was the main line, and Picard's off having his little adventure, whatever.
They should just do a Fenris Rangers show right now. Okay, so Nerissa opens up the doors, and just all the Borg start being thrown up to space.
Yeah.
And so one thing to kind of keep in mind too is when it's happening, 709's attached to them, so she must be feeling that pain.
That's true.
Of them being thrown into space.
And,
she's like screaming, like,
And I don't remember. I for some reason thought the Borg could survive in the vacuum of space, but maybe that's not true.
Yeah, well, the ship that had the had E-Chip and the kids, wasn't that like all exposed to space, or am I thinking?
It was no, because they all died from a contamination, like a virus, his virus. So it was just the kids that weren't because they're in the chambers. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe obviously can't. They're at least displaced and not useful when they're out there.
That's true. Okay, so the Romulans think that they've gained control, and then all of a sudden the XBs go to finish off the rest of the Romulans, and it looks like they captured Nerissa. Do you think they captured her or kill her?
Oh no, neither. So when you see her walking, I like how smooth they are when they snatch the guy that's working for her. She asks him a question. He's not there anymore. They snapped his neck. But then they pin her to the ground. But you see her start to energize, start to teleport right before her.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah. So you see the Romulan ships start to jump to warp. And the cool looking new Romulan ships.
That's not great.
But yeah. But then, they're all pinning her down. They're all kind of like pinning her down kind of like zombies.
Yeah.
I didn't really care for that.
I think it was just kind of like we need to buy some time.
Yeah. They're smarter than zombies and they're all one mind. You don't need to all just randomly push on somebody in the same direction.
Kind of felt weird. Yeah.
Especially when they're so smooth at snapping the guy's neck right before her.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyways, but yeah, it looked like she energized and was beamed onto one of their ships that jumped to warp.
Yeah. I almost wish that we saw the cube fire on a few of the ships too.
Yeah. Or Pursuit.
Cool. Oh yeah, I don't know if it's prepared enough for that.
Yeah, probably not ready for warp.
That would be cool. Okay, so 7. Okay, hold on, where are we at here? Yeah, and then we see the Romulan ships. They start to warp away. They're going over to the synth, homeworld basically. Yeah, synthetics homeworld. So 7 in the Queen's voice, pretty much, right? So she's kind of queen of this small army here. Says that the Romulans are gone and the cube is theirs. And then Eleanor says, "Are you going to assimilate me now?" And she kind of looks at him for a second. Did you notice that before she responds?
She's considering it.
Yeah.
And I feel bad because he's like a lost puppy. He doesn't know that that's such a bad thing. You know? He's like, so am I going to be part of the team?
Well, I think he sees it as bad, but he's just kind of like, what now? He does feel like he's so innocent. So and then she says, an amazing word, she says, Annika still has work to do. And then she's being disconnected.
Yeah.
So that feels like it's the Borg saying we're done now and you can go.
As if either within 7 she has 2 personas, that one is the queen of the Borg that was created for that instant, and the other's just regular 7 Annika. or that the collective itself is its own entity and it's releasing her
I
from
think it's
command.
that one personally.
Yeah,
I like to
that's
think
pretty
it's that
cool.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've used you. Thank you so much. Now we can go.
Yeah, and it's good for the drones because now they have the opportunity to be freed again. So
Yeah. Now I wonder what's going to happen. We've seen that in the past where drones have selected to stay connected in a separate hive mind because it's so beneficial. Yeah, that could be a whole new series.
yeah, now
that
Hughes
one cube.
did too. He was leading the reclamation project. So I wonder if they're going to find somebody else that could lead it, or if they're going to disband it, and these spores are going to go roam on their own.
Yeah.
Because the ship didn't actually move at all, right? It's still
there,
docked or wherever
and
it was.
it's being repaired right now. It will be available to move
Yeah.
and probably get out of Romulan space.
Sorry, I hit the mic.
Later. But yeah, so we'll see how that goes. Okay, so let's go into the next stories we have here. Picard and Soji, they arrive on Rios' ship from Riker's home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a couple things we learned here real quick. We keep calling it Rios' ship, maybe Picard's ship. It's called the La Sirena.
Yeah, that's hard to remember, but it's like the siren in Spanish.
It's the mermaid in Spanish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and then later on, we see in Rios' room, he's got a bunch of mermaid statues everywhere.
Oh, there you go.
Little mermaid
That's
figurines and stuff, so he's a big fan of mermaids. He seems stunned by Soji, okay, when he sees Soji for the first time, and we'll learn why here in a moment. Rafi reveals to Picard that Agnes has been betraying them this whole time, and they have a tracker and whatnot. So then we follow Picard and Soji. They sit down and talk about, her humanity and Data a lot, because, we're starting to get that little thing where, like, Data's her dad. She's starting to kind of understand that a little bit.
Yeah, and well, because she's realizing she has no identity, and that's where who was it? I think it was Agnes that told her, like, you can have an identity, or was it? No, it was a little girl.
Yeah.
She's saying you have this well of, what do you call it? Like a well of light. Like you have potentially the best dad and the best role model that you can totally embrace, but you just don't know it or don't understand it yet. But
he's out there for you, and he needs you too. So there's that as well.
Yeah.
They're talking about Data, and I liked how Picard says he has a child's wisdom, which is a really good example, really good saying for him.
Yeah. And
then Picard talks to Agnes. Of course, he's upset about the situation. And as Agnes explains the whole Commodore O problem, where she mind melded with him and with her, and in that process, actually made it to where she can't explain the situation.
Yeah.
So
put a
like a block, mental block or something.
Like a psychic block or something to keep her from talking about it.
The vision was from 200,000 years ago. And it's coming of what they call Seb Cheneb, which is Soji, right? It's basically completely human-like synthetic life.
Yeah.
Now they mention that when maybe this is later on. Yeah, this is later on, but let's talk about it right now. They said that once it's discovered, once they have that kind of synthetic life, that something comes and it's bad. And they talk about how, like, with warp, you have the Vulcans come.
Yeah.
So once you get synthetic life, maybe there's like some evil people out there that want that, so they come in and introduce themselves.
Yeah, I picked up on that, but I couldn't figure out what it meant because it seemed like it was symbolism, but we haven't seen it. Well, obviously, we haven't seen it yet, but it's something that they're foreshadowing is going to come.
Yeah.
But what do you think that's going to be?
Well, so one thing I thought was pretty interesting. They mention how this could be something that resets things. Like, okay, it's something that keeps repeating. And that reminds me of the Great Filter. Are you familiar with the Great Filter theory? So there's this, we could get a whole podcast just about this one theory, but there's this theory that we currently use now, that there's this filter to society. And it's the reason we don't have a bunch of aliens walking around. And you either pass through this Great Filter. So we don't know if we're ahead of it or behind it. And this Great Filter, what we believe is, once we discover like the ability to like actually space travel like we do in Star Trek, something happens where it destroys everybody. And it happens to every society that ever gets to that point. It's the Great Filter.
Just resets everything.
It resets everything. So like, that one thing you need to do warp travel happens to be the thing that blows up your planet.
That'd be the only way to explain why we can do what we can do, and there's no other species on other planets.
Because our planet is relatively young, especially our species, and our intelligence is very young compared to what could be out there.
Yeah.
So we should see a ton of aliens flying around if that's the case. So there must be a Great Filter. Anyways, so I kind of felt like this was a version of the Great Filter theory that, like, as soon as you guys get advanced to do synthetics, everything gets reset because it's something just automatically kills
find
it.
A way to kill. Yeah.
Yeah. This is synthetics. Just once they get to a certain thing, they have some sort of like robot oh no moment, and they just start killing everything around them.
Yeah.
So I assume. So I think it's the robots themselves is the thing that kills. It's not something that comes in. But they were saying that might be something that's introduced.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
It kind of seemed like to me, and I know it's already kind of pre-written, and there's consciousness, sentience.
Yeah.
I was thinking like that was the oh no, is that once aliens or once synthetics get consciousness, then that's the big bad. That's the problem. But I don't see. I see them seeing that as a problem from the Romulans.
Yeah.
But for everybody else, that's a good thing. Kind of. I mean, you just created a new form of life. So.
Well, the Romulans only think it's a bad thing because they had that vision.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what else it could be. In what's the other show? Star Trek. Discovery.
Yeah.
They have Control, which was like a supercomputer that compiled so much information and stuff like that, and was bent on destroying humanity.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be something like that. That it's a default that Data will eventually want to erase humanity.
Yeah.
Like you're saying. So.
Which reminds me of Futurama has something like that too.
Yeah.
Where once it has information, it's like, okay, let's get all the other information.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the last little bit of this where we have Agnes, she's awake now,
Mm-hmm.
and she starts questioning Soji about, again, her humanity.
Mm-hmm.
She eats, she dreams, stuff like that. And then they kind of come to an agreement, basically, like, you're not going to kill me, right? And it's not like Agnes could not kill, Soji. But yeah, so they're on good terms now, as good as they can be.
It's sad because she killed her mentor and everything under more or less the control of Commodore O.
Yeah.
But so she killed him, and then she sees this girl that is what she's always dreamed of creating or being involved in the creation of, and so she's like happy and relieved and so excited to finally meet this creation that's the epitome of her work.
Yeah.
And studying her, but at the same time, this is what she had to kill, for, and it's kind of a sad moment at the same time, but.
Very true. Yeah.
She's able. Luckily, now that she detoxed herself and is out of on her own and not under Commodore's O control, she can redeem herself, I guess, and change directions.
She's gonna have a lot of redemption moments ahead of her.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard, but.
The last bit, and I think it's honestly the weakest story, is we have Rafi trying to figure out essentially what's going on with the Rios, right? That's kind of what's going on this whole time.
That was kind of my favorite story.
Really?
Well, not my favorite. We had 7 of 9 taking over Borg Cube.
Yeah.
But that was a series of scenes that I expected were going to come at some point that I was waiting for, was us getting to know Rios' other holo programs.
Very good point.
We have the EMH, the medical hologram, the navigation, ENH, engineer, EEH, hospitality, and... I put it was the pilot, but he's not. Emmett is the...
I think he might be the pilot.
The...
Well, that only speaks Spanish?
Yeah. Are you sure he's the pilot? He's either the pilot or the one that does firing photon torpedoes and all that. Tactical? Yeah.
Maybe.
One of those two. Online it said pilot, but we also have navigation, so the ENH and the pilot would be the same thing.
Well...
The navigation hologram.
Isn't Harry Kim navigation when Tom Paris is pilot?
True, and Tuvok is tactical.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, maybe he is.
The jobs for everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so I really liked the engineer one, Ian.
Yeah.
Because he had this big, thick Scottish accent, which is like old school Scotty from the original series. It's kind of a nice little hint to him.
Yeah.
I really liked him. And all these, so...
I like how they all have very different accents too, to differentiate themselves, different body characteristics, different dressing.
They did a good job with that. So, who was your favorite of those?
Probably the pilot.
Yeah,
Emmett is his name, the Spanish one that pretty much only speaks Spanish, but he's hilarious. He's kind of a slob, but he's like forgettable.
Reminds me of Jason Momoa, the way he's got his hair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I want to note this guy does a really good job acting all these different characters differently, including himself. So 6 different characters.
That's a good point. Yeah, because you almost forget that it is all the same guy. Sometimes they do a good job with that.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
There was something else. Oh, and how they explain that when he got the ship, he created all these programs that just default, make him look like me kind of thing. But he went through intentionally deleting parts of each one. Yeah. So that none of them are the same as him. So the one, I can't remember the reference they used, but like the...
hospitality one can't make a certain kind of tea.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to boil water pretty much, but it got like something like that. So it's like, the medical one can do all the medical stuff, but he can't steer a ship. And the pilot can fly, but he can't, cook, or, they all have their own weaknesses, so that, they're still below the captain. Yeah. But together, they all came together and were able to remember something that he made them forget. So.
Yeah, because he is, it's divided 5 times. He does say, one of them does say that, like, he could have deleted us. He could have changed it, but he's kept it on. He keeps acting like he doesn't like us.
Yeah.
But he hasn't removed us either.
Yeah.
So there's kind of this like, yeah,
I think he also spends a lot of time out in open space without a crew, so he likes to have just other voices in the room, other people to talk to probably.
Yeah, but he could have changed him. He could have,
made him not look like him.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
I think he might actually be endearing to him a little bit, like he might actually like him.
Yeah.
That's
funny.
So, yeah, I kind of liked that. Okay, so yeah, Rafi assembles the team together and basically finds out that Rios had a mental break after his old captain killed himself.
Yeah. So his old captain ran into a random ship out in space, right?
Yeah.
And it had 2 passengers on it.
Yeah.
One of them looked like
Jana
Daj and
Soji.
Soji, yeah. So the 2 of them were sent. The first one called himself Beautiful Flower.
Beautiful Flower, yeah.
And then in Jana.
Something's coming up with that Beautiful Flower too, because that seems like, okay, we're gonna get that in the future episode.
Yeah.
That's too weird of a name to not mean something.
And so I don't get where the 2 of those came from, and why did one of them look like Daj when Daj was made as a pair to look like an actual woman that Data knew, right?
Well, we don't know. Oh, that's true. Yeah, Data drew a picture of a woman, not necessarily after somebody. It's from Data's mind that he drew that woman.
Okay,
painted that woman.
Okay.
And the timeline's a little off too, I think, because I don't know how far back this happened to Rio.
Yeah.
We'll have to look into that at some point.
So maybe whoever created the girls has that image has Data's mind, has memories in that image, and has been trying to make her for a while, and that was just an early attempt.
So we learned that Captain Vandermeer, he picked up these 2 members, and then he got the Black Flag orders, which was basically like, take care of this. He kills both of them, Jaina and Beautiful Flower. In guilt, Vandermeer kills himself.
After Rios harassed him a lot about it too.
Yeah.
That's why he feels so guilty, I think, is he gave his captain a hard time about it,
Yeah.
then found out his captain was ordered and had no choice, but he executes the 2 and then shoots himself in the head.
Yeah. And then Rios goes through and erases all traces of the situation.
Yeah.
And that I think also might create some of the problem there, because here he killed himself over the guilt of Starfleet's thing, and Starfleet kind of betraying him, right?
Mm.
And here Rios erased everything to where it's just like, yeah, he just killed himself for like no reason. So it's kind of, that also is bad.
Yeah. Makes him look bad.
So now we see everybody's got their problems. Basically, nobody's perfect on this crew. The crew eventually gathers together. They have all the different pieces of the puzzle, and they put them together. They believe that once synths were created, someone shows up. That's when we find out that whole reveal, much like the Vulcans in Warp. Commodore O was shot Vash Mole, who was implanted into Starfleet and rose through the ranks. Her job was to stop synths. She's the one that ordered the whole Jaina killing and Beautiful Flower and the Mars attacks. So she's kind of been behind this thing, controlling a lot of it. Soji then takes control of the ship, and she wants to use a Borg transwarp portal, which I thought was pretty neat.
Conduit,
thank you. And I think at this point we can all agree, like, Soji's full on android now.
Oh yeah,
she's even kind of forgetting some of her old life.
She's woke. What do you call it? Activated.
Yeah. Because she's like, oh, I guess I learned this from the Borg ship. Like she knows
she remembers the mapping of the transwarp conduits.
Freaking crazy. And then after some hesitation, and Rios was able to get the shields down. Rios agrees that, and Picard agrees that, like, let's go with this plan. Let's go with her idea and just see what happens. That is so important for Soji, because then she's finally getting some trust out of somebody.
Yeah.
That means a lot. And then she brings out that compass and is pointing towards the portal. I thought that was pretty neat too.
Yeah.
And then we see Narek is following him in there. So we have all that.
We assume it's him, a Romulan ship, but yeah.
A Romulan ship, yeah. Well, we haven't seen him in this episode, so it's like, where is he at? He's right there. Any thoughts on the episode?
Another little bit of that later scene that I liked too was that when she had the shield up and Rios has a way to retake control of the ship, he sings a little lullaby that his mom used to sing him when he was a kid. So he has it pre-programmed in the ship. Something happens, all he has to do is sing this lullaby, and it shuts down whatever's going on, and he takes control. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I wonder if the reason it's that is maybe, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe none of the holograms can do it.
Probably, yeah.
They probably can't. I mean, think about, okay, this is so stupid. Don't get me wrong. But remember how much the Doctor from Voyager, it was he kept adding programs so that he can sing? Yeah. Maybe normally holograms can't sing.
Probably. I would imagine.
Yeah. And
I mean, it's comforting.
Kind of the safety net.
The EMH could have that as just a default, what do you call that? Way to comfort people as your...
But if I remember correctly, Robert Picardo version of the Doctor, he added that subroutine to him to be able to sing. Or am I wrong?
I don't know. I don't remember. I thought it was something that he was able to sing a little
Like,
bit
he
and
just
then
kinda, like-
grew on it,
Okay.
expanded on it.
Because I know there's the episode, of course, where he like keeps adding programs
Yeah,
and then
and gets out of
messes
control.
everything up.
Yeah.
As soon as I was done watching this episode, I put Voyager on.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of got a Voyager high right now.
Uh-huh. I've been leaving on Next Generation though.
I need to watch
stay up
those
too
all the way
long
through.
just watching an episode, and it's like I gotta go to bed. It's like
Yeah.
10 o'clock. I gotta get up in like 5 hours. But
The
it's
Voyager I was just watching is the one where it's the I can't remember the names. The ones that need steel organs. Starts with a V.
Vidarians.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Gosh,
But anyways, they
Vidians.
They get B'Elanna and they split into two people. One that's her full Klingon version, and one that's her full human version.
Oh yeah.
The human version is like a coward, and the Klingon version like can't get control.
Yeah.
Oh man, that show's so good.
Because they have the Vidian phage.
Yeah, the phage. Yeah.
Yeah, so good.
Uh,
One thing I noted in this episode that was kind of when they mentioned that Commodore O is half Romulan, half Vulcan.
Mhm.
Romulans and Vulcans both come from the same planet, from planet Vulcan, right? And the only thing,
Was it from Planet Vulcan or yeah?
the only thing I could tell a difference in their appearance is that Romulans have those big brows. Both of them have the pointy eyebrows, but Romulans have like raised, like they have major sinus infection kind of thing. And because you had asked a while back about Rafi's son's girlfriend or wife that was pregnant, and I went back to look at it again. I was like, yeah, no, she kind of has those like raised brows, so she's probably Romulan. But then we noticed that some of these people don't have that. Some of the Romulans that we know are Romulan don't have that. So like Narek and Narissa, because I think it's just because they're trying to make a more pretty looking characters in the show.
Yeah.
But they don't have it. So I'm wondering if we're seeing more people that are mixed between them, if Vulcan and Romulans have been mixing for a while, or why
one thing
they're
that they were getting is the Discovery effect, where like Discovery changed how the Klingons look because they wanted to modernize it. We could be getting that too.
But that makes it really hard because Romulans and Vulcans look so similar already.
Yeah, I chalk it up to the Vulcan haircut. That's the one that I always like. You know what I'm saying?
Romulans have that too. Voyager, the ship that was Romulan that was on the edge of that network. Remember they communicated to him?
Yeah.
And a lot of times you see the traditional Romulans have that bowl cut with straight black hair.
I need to watch more Next Generation so I can talk about Romulans better. Because I could tell you about Kazons all day long, but
yeah, the only thing that was a giveaway was, I mean, their uniforms look different too, but civilian ones and whatnot. It was their brow, that raised V on their head, and now it's hard to tell if they don't have that.
I kind of wonder if because Narissa and Narek are on screen so much, they're like, well, let's calm this down a little bit so it saves us some makeup budgeting.
Probably, that would make sense.
I mean, nobody on the crew is a major alien,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy for a normal Star Trek.
That's true.
Normally, you have somebody on the crew that's an alien. They're all humans.
Yeah, at least a Neelix.
So I think they try to right. Think of how much it must have cost to
do makeup all the
Ethan
time.
Ethan Phillips, right?
Yeah.
Poor guy had to sit there and go through insane
2
makeup
hours at
every
least
day.
to makeup every morning.
God, I hope we get
I would
Jane
just
Williams
sleep in
season
that.
2 of Picard.
Right?
I just saw a thing on Twitter where she said she's down to come to play Catherine again.
That'd be awesome. Even if she's just in like a conference call real quick or something, just like be on screen.
They've done that before when they had Admiral talk to Picard.
Yeah.
Well, Admiral Janeway in one of the movies.
That'd be
It was the highlight of the whole movie. Anyways, anything else for this week?
What do you predict is going to happen from here with some of these characters?
So it looks like we're going to be approaching this synthetic planet or this planet. And I like to see on this planet an entire society made of synthetics that like has been hiding from the Romulans this whole time. That would be really cool.
And successfully developing and growing, and
Yeah, so we can see what synthetic evolution looks like.
that would be cool.
Yeah. What do you think?
I don't know if, I mean, I hope we do see that, but it seems like it's still it probably took a long time to get where it is now. So I'm hoping we see kind of the building blocks. We see the almost there but not quite complete synthetics, because they're not going to kill them. They're not going to execute what they see as a life form, even when it's not perfect. So I want to see some that don't really have normal skin, or they made them without ears or something. I don't know, whatever weird things they would come up with, or plastic coating and stuff like that. Yeah, that's it. I mainly just want to see the building blocks, but I don't know, because Soji's so new, and they're talking about once we have one successful one, once we find one creature that is a full synthetic that looks human, then that starts the end of days.
Yeah.
She's probably the first of her kind.
Well, what if it's a planet of synthetics, and you could see like when they get there, like the entire planet of scientists, whatever, is working on perfecting this one thing, and they're not sure what it is. They're still working on it. And so you'll see like different experiments where like, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe they're like all trying to figure it out. And so,
What if all their doctors, all the people that are doing all this work are the early synthetics? and there's no more living humans on the planet anymore.
That's what I'm assuming. I'm assuming there's no more humans on the planet anymore.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So all it's just creating
so
sense.
synthetics that are evolving so fast because once you get humans out of the way, they evolve very quickly.
Yeah.
And so like every day there's like something new that they're program updates that are going out to everybody and stuff. And they're trying to figure out what it is, but because they lost the humanity that was on the planet or whatever, the living, so they're missing something that we don't see, like maybe humor or some shit like that,
Yeah.
And Soji's one of the first models that has showed like, oh, she has that one thing, dreams, or something like that.
I wonder if they're gonna have like a central plexus then that's like a hub that their brains come from kind of thing.
That'd be cool.
That's what Narek's gonna go for first. And if I destroy the brain, then it's gonna kill all of them on the planet or something like that.
And they become separated, and Soji's now more of an individual than ever.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. We're speculating.
Yeah.
We could do some fan fiction on this thing. All right, guys. Anything else?
I think that's it.
I think that's it too.
Excited.
All right, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on the Geek Freaks podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Geek Freaks Pod. We're also on Facebook, Instagram. You can email us. We have our Patreon and a store. All those links are in the description. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.